RUGBYMag.com, the official voice of rugby.
Hello everyone, this is Alex Goff from RUGBYMag.com with RUGBYMag's weekly PRP report, and we're looking at the very first weekend of a new competition, the Pacific Rugby Premiership 2014, and we saw 6 teams out of the 7 get on the field, and there was a lot of drama, pretty exciting, but perhaps not the most precise games we could have imagined. Certainly a lot of teams a little bit rusty. You can forgive them for that. First game was a big comeback for San Francisco Golden Gate as they got past Santa Monica after falling behind 20-7. And then Glendale Raptors on the same field, Ray Sheeran Field at Treasure Island, came back from a 9-3 deficit to beat Olympic Club. And then we saw Belmont Shore defeat Denver Barbarians. It was 26-19. It was actually a 26-0 lead for Belmont Shore before they gave up 3 late tries, and maybe a little bit more time, perhaps the Barbarians would have hauled them in. But that gives us an idea of how competitive these teams are, and that's good for the players, that's good for the teams. One team we didn't see was Old Mission Beach Athletic Club. OMBAC gets going this weekend. So OMBAC will take on that Santa Monica team, and Santa Monica certainly proved that they can strike from anywhere. They have Mathieu Legorge, who is their new fly half from France, kicks very well, so they'll punish penalties. But they also had Sean Pipers already leading the league with 3 tries. A couple of them, well, yeah, definitely from the long-range variety, as you can see. OMBAC, on the other hand, well, they're coming in with pretty much a settled team. A lot of familiar names there. Zach Pangilinan at fly half. The Purcell brothers, Chris Clever. We're also probably seeing Chris Terori certainly will have a big impact there. There is some question as to whether Tai Tuisamoa, who had such a great season for the USA team in November, coming out of almost nowhere to play well for the USA Selects, and then making the full test team, some question as to whether he'll be available. The word swirling around about whether he will get a pro contract. If he's there with OMBAC, that's good for OMBAC. If he's going to get a pro contract somewhere else, everyone will be pulling for him there. That'll be good news for Tuisamoa. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the other upcoming games, and for that we'll go to Pat Clifton.
The other 2 games this weekend are really rematches of games that were pretty close last year. You had Glendale beat Belmont Shore 34-27 last year in the round of 16 there in the Division I postseason. And you had you had San Francisco Golden Gate beat the Denver Barbarians 29-23 in the League Cup preseason or regular season play. So those were both pretty close games, and I expect they're going to be pretty close again this weekend. Denver was winning at halftime last year when they were playing Golden Gate, and that was a really strong Golden Gate team. I'm not sure that they have proven they're as strong this year with some of the losses that they've taken. Of course, last year's game was in Denver. This one's in San Francisco, so it's going to be a tougher road to hoe for the Barbarians, but I think it's one they can really be competitive in, and they don't want to fall to 0-2, because in this competition that could be pretty detrimental early on. Belmont Shore and Glendale, again, both of these teams have lost a lot of players over the course of the offseason, but and they want to prove that they can play without the guys that they've lost. I think it's going to be very competitive. They're both really trying to get to 2-0, which would be a dream start in this new competition. But this one again is in Belmont. It's going to be tough for Glendale, I think, to get over it. Just like you see the NFL in the NFL, when teams travel from the West Coast to the East Coast, they generally don't have a whole lot of success. I think early on, when you're talking about teams coming from snowy Denver, snowy Colorado, going out to California, where training is maybe a little bit more productive and there's a little less distraction with being buried in snow and cold, that it's going to be interesting to see how they do. And it might actually have a bit of a poor effect on some of these teams. Now, it didn't for Glendale first time around, but we'll see here in Southern California.
Top performance from last weekend? Well, you certainly have to love that try from Brett Willis for the Glendale Raptors. You certainly have to also like what Mose Timoteo did in controlling the game, especially when his regular fly half, Volney Rouse, was out with the flu. And Mike Teo, 2 tries for Belmont Shore. That was a big game as well. Who's going to step up this time? Well, we'll find out next week here on Rugby Mag's PRP Weekly.